was the Dynamite of the promos. We had some of the most solid promos, like consistent across the entire show this week. It was crazy. And I was a big fan of it. And of course, we have a ton of news because basically this is essentially the go home show for Double or Nothing, because next week's show is preempted. It's not going to be on Wednesday night. It's going to be on Friday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, which is way late, and it's on Friday. So that, I'm sure, is going to cause a bunch of things. So that's probably why they basically set up the entire Double or Nothing on this episode of Dynamite. We have basically the entire card at this point. So I mean, that's basically what they used it for. Next week's Dynamite isn't even looking like that much of a show anyways, but it is going to be live, and I think it's actually going to be live to tape. So I checked the event, and for those who have tickets, the show starts at 8 o'clock. So I'm guessing they're going to start, they're probably going to start the show somewhere around like 8:30, do live to tape, and then rebroadcast it at 10, I'm guessing. So it's going to be like a tape delay, basically, and that's about it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then we have a whole bunch of other news to talk about. We'll talk about that after the beginning of the show. What did you think overall about this show? I thought it was a solid show, good, basically a go home, and all the promos. Man, we had some really good promos on this episode.
Yeah, I thought it was a great go-home show because, like, when the show was over, I didn't think, oh, that was a great Dynamite. I was like, oh my god, I'm ready for the pay-per-view now. So, like, yeah, this show was perfect for that.
Yeah, a few things on this show. I mean, I thought we had a killer women's match for the NWA Championship. I think that match was way better than I thought it was going to be. I mean, Serena Deeb is great, but Red Velvet's very green. So I wasn't sure how that match was going to go. That match went really well.
Red Velvet is one of those kind of greener type people who's getting really good really quick.
Yeah, I don't know what he does, but QT Marshall is like the best trainer on the planet, it seems.
Yeah, I don't know. And Dustin Rhodes is there too, and Dean Malenko. God, they just have like it's incredible just to think the amount of talent that they have put together to build this company.
Yeah, that's true as well. So good to see there. Miro cut an amazing promo near the end of the show here. And then Varsity Blonds, they are looking like a legit tag team. And I'm curious how they continue to progress over the coming months or year. I mean, they even added in their cheerleader in Julia Hart as well. So they're actually kind of looking like an actual tag team at this point, and not just two guys that showed up roughly at the same time, and they're like, let's just stick these two together.
Yeah, and that's kind of, that's what it was, which that's the way a lot of tag teams start, but they have worked together, and they have invested in the gimmick, and that's just like, and look, another team like the Acclaimed, like, the AEW, like, they're putting guys together into tag teams, and they're actually doing stuff with them. They're booking them as a tag team. They're letting them get experience and get better and get onto. It's just like, what freaking world is this that exists that, like, where wrestling works the way it should?
And giving them a team name and not just so-and-so and so-and-so.
Right.
So, I mean, the Acclaimed was the same thing as the Varsity Blonds. Two guys, they put them together, but at this point, it feels like they have been tagging together since well before they even came to AEW.
Yeah, they keep getting so much better. But the thing you brought out with giving the tag team a name like that, it's so much more significant than people else. Because look, okay, there's been 4 teams that were, AEW tag team champions, and there was one that was it was Kenny Omega and Hangman Page, and the whole thing was that they weren't really a team. They were 2 individuals. And then I have a whole spiel about how, like, okay, John Moxley and Eddie Kingston. Like, yeah, that works because they're like, they're not a team, but they're friends who will tag together and it fucking works. I love it. I love that AEW has, an actual tag team division and just different people with different kinds of relationships who react to each other the way real people would and talk to each other the way that, a person would talk if they were in that situation.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's set it up here. You are watching or listening to the That's Wrestling podcast. If you're listening to this as a podcast, we do this show live over on Twitch and on YouTube. You can follow the link in the show notes. There's also a Discord link in there as well. You can come hang out with us. Comments, questions, feedback, you can send those to Eric at that'swrestling.com. You can also follow us on the Twitter at that'swrestling1 with the number 1. Leave us a review on your podcast app of choice. Also, I think we're coming up on the last week. Daryl is doing a fundraising 5K. He will not be running it because he just had open heart surgery. But he will be trying to walk the 5K, and he's raising money for a Concussion Foundation. So the link to that is in the show notes as well. And with me tonight is Trae Wisecarver. You can find him on the Twitter WrestleIsm.
Yeah, man. We still don't have any New Japan to watch, so I'm still here.
Well, yeah. Well, actually, let's start really quick with a little bit of New Japan. Biggest news.
Very, very horrible, unfortunate news.
Yeah, Will Ospreay had to vacate the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship because of neck injury, and he has gone back to the UK, and he's going to rehab in the UK. So, interesting.
Yeah, that's...
And we also have had 9 guys with COVID.
Yeah, and we also, we're coming back to, Road 2 shows, and I think the first one is day after tomorrow. But it's what is the Road to? Okay, it's Road to Wrestle Grand Slam, but then we don't know when Wrestle Grand Slam is going to be, and then, Dominion is still on the books, but we don't know what the hell is going on in Japan with anything.
Yeah, it's gonna be a rough one. So there's that. Before we even start on the rest of the show, let's talk about also some more news that came out yesterday. They finally have when AEW's third hour is going to be, what it's called, and then we have an update as well on all the TV landscape. So let's start this off. August 13th, which I believe is a Friday, correct? That is the right day. Friday, August 13th, the new AEW show is going to be on at 10 p.m. and is going to be called Rampage. So Rampage will be on 10 p.m. on Fridays. And then starting at the beginning of January 2022, Dynamite and Rampage are moving to TBS, and then they're also going to have 4 specials a year over on TNT. So I mean, that's kind of the biggest thing right there. So they're adding their third hour. They're adding 4 special shows that will be on TNT after they move to TBS at the beginning of next year. Biggest thing there, moving to TBS, which a lot of people are like, why would they do that? That's a bad thing. And what a lot of people don't understand, TBS is in 1 million more homes than TNT is.
Yeah. TBS was there first, you guys. TBS was the superstation long before TNT was the other station that they invented. You said, I was surprised. I thought that they said Rampage was Rampage is going to TBS too. I thought maybe it was staying on. I assume you're right though.
Yeah, they're both
moving too.
Yeah. So
we're gonna have. I think we've reached a great sweet spot because I don't know. It's almost like there's been some talk that maybe 4 pay-per-views a year isn't enough. And I think so. If we're gonna have 4 pay-per-views a year, and then we're gonna have quarterly, so that means 4 Clash of the Champions type specials. per year. So that's going to be, 8 super shows per year. I think that's going to be a very good mix. I assume, we'll have Fighter Fest and Fight for the Fallen and
Winter is coming.
Some of these other.
Winter is coming will probably become a yearly thing.
Yeah, but I hope they have some kind of a name to tie the series. Like, you have Clash of the Champions, New York Knockouts. I hope they do something like that.
That would be fun. But yeah, so big there, and also Tony Khan has said the Rampage is not a B show; it is an A show, just like Dynamite. It's no less important and no more important than Dynamite, so it's on the same level. That's what he's hoping it to be for.
Yeah, that's good. I wonder what the taping schedule is going to be like when things go back to normal.
Yeah, like what do you do
when they get back to regular? Well, I wonder because they like to do there are a lot of matches for these YouTube shows, and I would if Dark is going to go back to being the dark matches from Dynamite, which it should, and then they do Dynamite Live with the Dark taping. And then I wonder, because they're doing Dynamite Live on Wednesday, could do, a live 1-hour show on Friday and then also do, a couple of hours of taping that you're going to do on, Elevation and stuff.
Yeah, basically you could tape Dark and then do Dynamite Live on Wednesday. And then on Friday, you tape Dark Elevation, and then you could go live at 10 p.m. for that final hour for Rampage.
Right.
If you wanted to.
That the reason that I was having this thought is that I was thinking about, because I'm playing as AEW on my Total Extreme Wrestling save. So I was thinking about how, because it's like this ultra detailed booking simulator where you got to do your taping schedules and stuff. So I was thinking about this for practical reasons too.
Yeah, and there's rumors also that it sounds like they may have renegotiated the deal as well. So the 4 shows a year is definitely an increase. So they're getting more money, and they might even tacked on more time to the deal. So they might be out even further than we originally thought.
This is a renegotiation of the deal. That's what all this is, and that's amazing. And this is really, really good for AEW and really good for the wrestling business, and they're doing all right for a t-shirt company.
Yeah, and I don't know who I was listening to was talking about it, but they brought up WWE's deal with both USA and Fox are coming up in the next year and a half or so, and they said TNT's we're not interested in their wrestling. We like our wrestling.
Yeah, good. Good for them.
So they're not even interested in going after WWE or anything.
No, I think that they are going to have a successful long-term relationship. Now the question is, that belt that Miro has, do they rename it the TBS Championship?
I mean, they could keep it TNT because Dynamite is the same thing as TNT. TNT is Dynamite, so I don't know.
I agree.
I think it's fine.
It was just I thought that Rampage was staying, but I'm sure you're right. But yeah, the TNT title just sounds a lot better, so don't mess with that belt name.
Yeah, it's going to be Rampage. Rampage is going to be on TNT and then both of them I think are moving over to TBS.
In January?
Yeah, starting in January.
But the good thing is that moving to TBS will mean Dynamite will not be moved around because of sports ball anymore.
Right. The only thing that they might get pulled for once in a while is maybe the World Series, because TBS, it depends on the year, because different channels get the World Series. They rotate through, just like the Super Bowl goes from Fox to CBS to NBC to ABC, on a rotating schedule. And so, one of those might pick up a playoffs or World Series baseball, but
no, man, this is great because it's, wrestling built TBS, So it's just right and natural for wrestling to go back to TBS, and it's just, I don't know. I've always my grandmother was a huge Atlanta Braves fan, so TBS was on a lot in my life. So yeah, it's good. This is just a great thing for AEW, and obviously a great thing for the wrestling business. And it means that I'm confident that I don't know what Rampage is going to be, but it's going to be something different and awesome.
All right, let's get into the show here. They kick off the show with Matt Sydal versus Christian Cage. Pretty basic start here. Christian Cage hit his dropkick through the ropes to the floor, sending Sydal into the barricade. Christian starts to attack the back of Sydal. Sydal comes back a little, hits a Meteora off the top for 2. Sydal hits a kind of a Shining Wizard to Christian sitting in the corner. Sydal turns a spear attempt into a sunset flip for 2. Christian misses a crossbody, but then avoids a moonsault, and Christian hits a spear for a 2 count. Christian wants the kill switch. Sydal hits a jumping knee. Christian gets his knees up for a standing moonsault, and then he does hit the kill switch, gets the win. I mean, it was fine. I mean, there was nothing blow away, especially for an opening match. This probably would have been better as like a second match of the night, because it was very WWE style, I think.
I liked this a lot. It was like, 2 just really good wrestlers having a wrestling match to determine who was the better wrestler. And I am a simple man. I like pretty dark-haired women, breakfast food, and good, solid wrestling matches. And they had a match, and it was really good. And they shook hands and hugged after the match, and you could just see the joy on their faces, how much they enjoyed wrestling each other. These guys have wanted to have a real hard match together for a long time, and it was it's just I love seeing wrestlers being happy to be wrestlers.
After the match was over, Taz, who was on commentary, is yelling at Christian from commentary. Starks makes his way out onto the stage, and Ricky says that he'll be where he wants to be. He has some business to take care of with Christian, and he's just talking. Basically, it ends up being a distraction. Hook, Brian Cage, and Hobbs come in and attack Christian and Matt Sydal from behind. They get beaten up, and Starks is still standing up on the stage because he's actually injured and can't actually do any of this. Out comes Hangman Page in his normal street dress, and he's got a cup of something with him. He hands it to Ricky Starks, and then just makes his way to the ring, and he joins the fight. But in the end, so he's beating up on Hobbs and Brian Cage until Hook comes in, chop blocks him from behind, and Hangman ends up getting power bombed by Brian Cage. And Ricky Starks comes down to the ring, and Team Taz celebrates, and he even takes a sip. He's like, not bad.
Hook is awesome. He's just the perfect little shit. The way he's, I don't know how old he is, 21, 22. He's just that perfect kind of age and size that he's a good sized kid, clearly, but he's not he's not a grown man, but he's still strong as shit. He's Taz, which, by the way, I love the idea that Hook's last name, which I took this from Vinny on the Brian and Vinny show, who stole it from somebody on Twitter. Hook Tazson.
Hook Tazson.
Hook Tazson. But Hook is awesome. He's a perfect little shit, and I can't when is he? They've got to be getting him ready to wrestle. Give me Brian Cage and Powerhouse Hobbs and Hook against Christian and the Sydal brothers. That sounds awesome.
So yeah, Hook just barely turned 22 at the beginning of this month. So let's see. Moving on, they announced that it's going to be Miro and Lance Archer for the TNT title. That was added to Double or Nothing. They run down the card, and then we have a Varsity Blonds promo. We have Julia Hart has joined the Varsity Blonds. She's been with them on some dark matches, so now they have this threesome here. Brian Pillman Jr., he's talking about how, everybody says I got into wrestling because of my dad, or my dad got me into pro wrestling. No, that's wrong. He's the reason I stayed away from wrestling. And then he goes on saying, that's until I saw the Bucks doing it the right way. Griff says that, he was at an indie show and he was happy to work the Young Bucks merchandise stand. But now, what he sees now, they're different guys. And Pillman basically says that the goal of Varsity Blondes is to become the AEW Tag Champions. This is a great promo from both of these guys. And this little group, I think, they got something here.
I agree, man. Just becoming they have put some work. They have these nice varsity jackets now. And Julia Hart is a cheerleader. They're going into the gimmick, and good on them. Have you seen the Dark Side of the Ring, the Brian Pillman episodes?
I did not.
Man, you got to, because they're truly phenomenal stuff. If you watch that thing, I had this whole scenario worked out that you could do it, just do the quick sessions, wanted just Brian to just catch the pin and win the titles in the main event so bad. And I from you don't do it, but you could have done it and it would have been so amazing. After watching, that's all I could think after watching that documentary, because he came off such a fucking baby face. And these guys they're putting the work in, and they are maturing into, I think that they are going to make a great babyface tag team for years to come.
Next up, we had a backstage video promo with Moxley and Kingston, and Mox says that they're making a bit of a dent in the AEW tag division. Basically says they're going to beat the crap out of the Acclaimed, and they argue if they need to hit super kicks to be able to be invited to the super kick party. There was an obvious edit in this promo. I am super curious on what they cut out. Because as soon as they come out of the edit, if you look at Moxley's face, he had to have broke. He had to have just been barely. He was pulling himself back from laughing his ass off. That's what it looked like on his face, and then going back to serious. Something had to have happened in that cut, and I want to know.
Hopefully, hopefully that'll be on Being the Elite. That's what needs to be on there. Yeah, this is, God, I love this, that they are so entertaining together. And then we go straight from them to the Acclaimed, who also cut a great promo. But man, did you see the diss track?
I did not see the diss track. I heard it was awesome, though.
I don't know if they aired it on Dark or what. I just saw it on Twitter. The Max Caster, and even the rap on the show, that's another team. Oh my God, they're just getting better and better. They were just two guys, and then you put them together as a team, and you actually make them a team. They're 5 years from now, the Acclaimed and the Varsity Blondes are going to be having main events on Dynamite for the World Tag Team Championship.
Yeah, I'll take it back now. I'll say I was wrong. I thought the Acclaim's gimmick was going to get old really fast because it was a Cena rehash. And these guys have gotten so much better. And now I find them way more entertaining than originally. Originally, it was kind of stilted and played out, and now they've kind of turned it into their own. And it doesn't feel like a rehash anymore.
Agree. They've done such a great job.
And I still want the reality TV show to be Eddie and Moxley.
Yes, that should be, yes.
Even if it's just a little 15-minute show on AEW's YouTube channel, That's all I need. I don't need like the
Yes.
full 45, 42 minute with commercial thing.
Instead of being the elite, I don't know, something being speaking of Mox,
Being on the street.
The Nick Gage episode of Dark Side of the Ring. Oh my god! Holy shit! That was I just rewatched. I think it was after we did the show last week. We just lost. God rest him. New Jack.
Mm-hmm.
Had rewatched his episode of Dark Side of the Ring, which is phenomenal. New Jack was like such just a character in the history of the business. But man, if you thought the New Jack episode of Dark Side of the Ring was fucked up, oh my god, this Nick Gage episode, holy shit.
So next up, we did have an Acclaimed promo. Basically, they're going off. They're mad because they're ranked higher, and basically because of that they're going to win. Eddie, they call Eddie from the bodega, and the lunatic cringe Jon Moxley.
Yeah, that was a beautiful line.
Then we do have the Acclaimed versus Jon Moxley, Eddie Kingston. During Caster's rap, he mentions that Jon Moxley's wife is all up in his mentions, and that it's time, or something along these lines, that it's time to have some oral sessions with her, essentially. and then Max is
phenomenal.
Like, and then Bowens is like, she wants us on her podcast. But that
and go ahead in the when they get into the ring box, like Anthony Bowens is gonna do his kind of thing when they get into the ring, and he gets the mic up to his thing and starts to say it, and Mox just Pearl Harbors him, and you can and he retweeted it and it was saying like, don't retweet this, but it was and it was just just the sound that you could just hear, him getting hit. It was so, everything about this was just fantastic.
Yeah, so Moxley does not take too kindly to those words. He decks Bowens as soon as he steps into the ring. Moxley, Kingston beat the crap out of Caster for a while. Kingston bites Caster in the face. Moxley and Kingston tag in and out, beating up Caster. Kingston sits up onto the top rope, but Caster does a jump chop into the throat and then pulls him off of the top with a dragon screw, and then gets the tag over to Bowens. The Acclaim get the heat on Kingston during the commercial. They work over his knee. Bowen works the price of fame, which is an inverted cloverleaf. Amazing. We come out of commercial. Eddie does not get a tag over to Moxley for a minute and 30 seconds after we come back from commercial. Thank God. It didn't happen the second they come back from commercial. No, they continued the heat a little bit longer, and then Moxley got the hot tag for the comeback.
I'm glad that they got it right in one match on this show, because in the other matches was when that was really starting to bother me during the show.
Mox beats up both guys, hits Caster with a pile driver, drops Bowens with and then Bowens jumps up onto the apron, so Moxley puts on a sleeper, and he goes out and he just drops him, and he crashes onto the apron, rolls off to the floor. Moxley makes a mistake, though. He willingly goes up to the top rope. It looks like he wanted to pick him up and hit a paradigm shift off the top rope, but the Acclaim come back, hit him with a superplex, and then a vertical suplex cross body combo. Kingston breaks up that pin. Bowens gets Caster's chain, and the ref is trying to take it away from him, but behind the ref's back while he's dealing with the chain, Caster comes in with the boom box, but Moxley cuts him off, takes it, whacks him with the boom box, and then Eddie and Mox hit a wheelbarrow paradigm shift on Bowens to get the win. Good stuff. I thought this was a fun match, and I already praised them not getting the comeback as soon as the commercial is over.
Yeah, this was fun. Like I said, I love this. Love to see my Moxley. They were on Elevation this week. They were wrestling some job guys, and it was just it was like I was saying earlier, like they're just like they're buddies who just give each other shit, but they're tagging together, so it's like, but they're fighting like an old married couple. Like Kingston gets in here, and this guy who can wrestle a little bit kind of like takes him down and schools him a little bit, and Moxley's giving him shit about it. So Kingston goes and tags him in and goes, "You go try it." Phenomenal.
Good stuff. Alex Marvez is backstage. He finds Jericho, who is talking to Dean Malenko. Alex asks if the Inner Circle is going to accept the challenge from the Pinnacle for the Stadium Stampede. Jericho says you're going to have to wait and find out, just like everybody else. Yeah, I think you should leave before you make the man of 1,000 holds angry. Dean Malenko says, you've still got 4 more than me. And Jericho's like, I think I forgot a few.
Phenomenal. Funny. It's a beautiful, beautiful back inside joke that like nerds from, that have been wrestling nerds for 25 years, just that was for us, and I enjoyed it very much.
Yeah, it was a 24-year-old joke. It was the payoff to a 24-year-old setup. Good stuff anyway. And good to see Dean.
Good to see Dean. Like, yeah, a payoff to a 25-year-old setup is a pretty great description of Dynamite in general, right?
Mm-hmm. But good to see Dean. I did notice his arm was kind of shaking a little bit. I mean, he has Parkinson's, so it is what. Did you hear his interview on Unrestricted?
No, not yet. I don't think.
No, it was a few weeks ago.
I've got a backlog of those I need to get through.
It was really good. Definitely worth the checkout. All right. Tony Schiavone's in the ring with Anthony Page and Scorpio Sky. Sky says that when he was a child, Sting was everything he loved about wrestling, everything good, and he wanted to be just like him, but something happened. Time happened. I don't have to tell you because you already know you're not the same man you used to be, and I'm no longer a child. I'm a grown man, and I got a warning. Step aside or I will put you down. And then Ethan takes... Did I say Anthony Page or Ethan Page? Ethan kicks Tony out, says that he'll handle the rest of the... He kicks Tony out, says he'll take care of the rest of the interview. He says, Sky, you've already proven you can put Sting down. You put a heel hook on him, and that caused him to miss a week of Dynamite. I hope you were watching the week you were out, because I threw Darby down a flight of stairs. And then the week after, he lost the TNT title. I can't take full credit. Miro, you're going to be a hell of a TNT champion, but, it was a little bit my fault. Darby, you say the title meant everything to you. It was your lifeblood. Well, I'm here to tell you I'm going to take everything away from Darby Allin. I promise you I'll be the nail in your coffin. And I wrote here, he started to sound like Vince McMahon on that last phrase. It was very growly Vince McMahon. Anyways, after that,
Ethan Page.
I think we might have a delay. Go for it.
Ethan Page is such a great promo. That's all I was trying to say. Page is a great promo.
Sting's music hits. He comes out up onto the stage, but it is a distraction. Darby Allin comes from behind with a skateboard. Two of them beat up Sky and Page. Sky gets into the Scorpion Deathlock and is tapping out furiously, and then eventually he's let to leave, and Sky and Page get up onto the stage, and they're yelling, and it looks like they're about to start making their way towards the tunnel, and Dark Order comes out from both tunnels, and they jump off the stage and then run down that side exit to the stage left. And that was that.
I want this to end with Sting taking the Dark Order under his wing.
That would be interesting. I never even thought about him being the leader of the Dark Order.
Well, it fits though, right? With the babyface Dark Order, and a Sting, just like you know what, these guys really need some guidance, and I'm gonna be just I want Sting to be like not the leader, not the exalted one, just like the dad of the Dark Order.
But I don't think he can do that good on BTE, and I need somebody that's good on BTE. Because the Dark Order is like the best part of BTE.
You don't do Sting on BTE. You have like BTE is the Dark Order, like just trying to keep Dad from finding out the whatever dumb thing that they did. Or...
That could work too. Next up, we have Pinnacle. They're out to dinner. Wardlow downs a wine directly from the bottle, and Spears is like holding up his empty glass, like waiting. It's like, dude, you just drank all the wine. I've been waiting for wine. Jericho, MJF talks about Jericho. Oh, you think you're so funny? You're spraying us with the little bit of the bubbly, all that fun stuff. Dax says, you think we like doing this? We should be making a name for ourselves, taking on the tag team division. But we have to deal with you guys. Last year's Stadium Stampede was a dog and pony show. But this year, we're in control. And while Dax is talking, the waiter is filling up Dax's glass. And he goes around to the other side of the table. And the bottle is empty. So Spears is mad and bangs the waiter's head into the table. Tully tosses him a wad of cash, basically to pay off the waiter for his trouble. MJF says, if you decide that to do Stadium Stampede, it will be your last match as the Inner Circle, because when you're in the Pinnacle, you're always on top. This was such a great segment.
Sean Spears abusing a waiter because that is the only way to get real heat from millennials. Yeah.
But, like, I don't know how much you paid attention or how much you watched Wardlow during this. He was so funny. He wasn't even saying anything, but he did a lot of little funny things, and his facial expressions were hilarious, especially after Sean smashed his head into the waiter. Wardlow stole some steak off of somebody's plate as well. I think it was off of Sean's plate when he wasn't looking. And when he banged the waiter's head into the table, like a plate fell off the edge of the table, and Wardlow picked it up, and then he's like, screw it, and just dropped it on the floor. It was great. It's so funny.
I'm gonna have to go back and watch this again now.
Yeah, it was good. Next up, we have Rebel versus Hikaru Shida. Britt comes out first, even though Rebel is the one who's in the match, and they come out to Britt's music as well. Shida beat the crap out of Rebel's knee. Britt causes a distraction. Rebel hits Shida with a crutch from behind. Still only gets the 2 count. Shida hits a knee breaker on Rebel. It was like a Falcon knee breaker. It was like she was going to pick her up for the Falcon Arrow, but then just dropped it directly onto her knee.
Was that a Falcon knee breaker is a good explanation.
Then she puts on the stretch muffler and Rebel taps out. Britt Baker attacks after the match from behind and then gives Hikaru Shida a curb stomp on the title belt. Hikaru Shida took that curb stomp so awesome. It looked amazing.
Yeah, this was effective. This was a good angle. This was, like I said, man, the show was all about heating things up for the pay-per-view, and they did.
As far as Rebel goes, I haven't seen her previous to AEW. Can she actually wrestle, and she's just basically crappily wrestling because she's an assistant?
She is a good enough wrestler to be doing what she is doing competently.
Okay. And I also looked her up. Rebel is 42 years old. She looks damn good for 42. I didn't put her anywhere near 42 years old.
Told you, buddy. I like pretty dark-haired women. Tell me.
Next up, we have a backstage that supposedly took place. Storyline-wise, took place last week. And this was Kenny Omega and Don Callis come into the training room where Orange Cassidy is getting looked over by the doctor, and the best friends are in there, and Chris Statlander steps right up to Kenny Omega, and Orange Cassidy's like, no, it's okay, guys, it's okay. Don and Kenny kind of kick everybody out of the training room except for the doc. They're like, we like you can stay. They present Orange Cassidy with a document for him to sign to get him out of the main event 3-way at Double or Nothing, in exchange for a match with Kenny Omega later. And Orange Cassidy is holding it, and he slowly rips the contract in half, and then he lays the strips on top of each other and turns it, and then starts to rip it again. And Don's like, no, you're good. You don't need to go any further. And then Kenny says, what went wrong with that power bomb? Nothing. That's just the level of talent out there that you're dealing with. And if a powerbomb does this to you, what do you think will happen when I hit you with a one-winged angel? I could end your career. And we don't want you to wake up one day and not remember your wife or kids' names. So here's another one. We printed out a second copy just in case. So here, why don't you take this, sleep on it. And I think Don said, well, in this condition, don't sleep. and then you don't need to sign it now. Just think about it. And then they left.
This was good. This is great stuff.
So I'm sure Orange Cassidy's going to accept, because he was actually just fine. It was kind of more of a stinger, I guess, last week than anything else. Next up, we have Jericho, Sammy, Ortiz, and Hager. They come out to the ring. Santana is still away. This week's episode was taped, and Santana was sick last week, so that's why he wasn't at the shows. And then they made up the story that he is actually arrested for stabbing MJF with the fork. Ortiz says at this point talk is cheap. They want to fight. Sammy says he couldn't agree more. As long as the Pinnacle and Inner Circle are in the same company, this is never going to end. You guys say you're the best, but really you guys are just a bunch of clowns. Especially last week, you guys were flopping around in your cheap suits like dumbass fishes, which got a dumbass fishes chant, which I thought was hilarious. Hager says, if you ask me, we don't really have a choice. Since the beginning, we've said we're the baddest. If we don't accept that we're just like them. Says that the last thing we want to be is a bunch of schoolgirl bitches like you. Jericho says that the bubbly bath was designed to get the Pinnacle's attention. He says, is Stadium Stampede worth it? Was Blood and Guts worth it? We left behind stuff that we'll never get back. A bucket of blood, a pound of flesh, a piece of our souls. Was it worth it? None of us will forget that night. None of us will forget that night. I'll never be the same because of MJF. Max, you hurt me. I'm not just talking about the physical with this dislocated elbow. That will heal. It will get better. What won't get better, what won't go away, is the mental image I have of you throwing me off the cage. It was the most terrifying moment of my life. Time stood still. Felt like I was falling for hours. My head almost hit the back of the stage, and if that would have happened, that would have been game over for Jericho. So was it worth it? You scared my family, my children, everyone who watched Blood and Guts. Was it worth it? And the only answer I have to that is, when thinking about the revenge I will get on you, then the answer is yes. Because you have given me the fire and the inspiration to knock your teeth down your throat, break your nose, and punch you in the face over and over. And you want our answer for Stadium Stampede? It's 1000% yes. If you beat us, if we can't beat the Pinnacle, then we don't deserve to be together anymore. But remember, we warned you. We told you you're going to have to kill us if you want to beat us, and we're still alive. Santana, he'll be back next week. He's still alive. So at Stadium Stampede, the Inner Circle is coming for you. Hell is coming for you. We're going to dance all over your faces and piss all over your grave. This was such a great promo, and even Jake Hager didn't fuck this one up.
Dude, yeah, another phenomenal promo on a show of.
Anything about the content of the promo? No?
And I don't know. You covered it all. I loved the. I don't know because you already recapped it. So yeah, it was a phenomenal promo.
All right.
Sorry. Sorry, I don't have anything else to add.
Tony Schiavone with Jade for like the 500th week in a row. And she says, I'm tired of reiterating myself. And I wrote, yeah, me too. I'm sick of you reiterating yourself as well. The lawyer guy comes in and makes his pitch. She kicks him away and says she'd think about it. What the I'm so sick of Jade. Jade, nothing at this point. I'm so over it.
Leave her alone. Damn it. Get Mox to drop that dude on his freaking head again. Jeez.
But she keeps saying the same shit every week. Over and over. This is like the build to the match with her and Shaq. She just does the same thing over and over again, and we don't get anything of substance.
Like WWF Superstars in 1992, where they just have they do the same promos for like 6-8 weeks in a row. Yeah.
Jay says at least she didn't say I'm that bitch again. That was one thing she did not say.
Yeah. Yeah. Well.
Next up, we have Red Velvet versus Serena Deeb for the NWA Women's Championship. So Serena Deeb coming back after having some scope surgery on her knee. I'm guessing she just kind of had to clean out some junk because she wasn't off too long, like 3 months or so. And NWA didn't strip her of the title, so yeah, she wasn't out too bad. Serena, as soon as the bell rings, she just goes straight after Red with strikes. Hits a wicked twisting neck breaker for a 2 count. Red slips the detox. They go back and forth a bit with some rope work. Back to strikes they go from Deeb. Red Velvet comes back with some strikes of her own, but then Deeb hits a dragon screw, and then another one, and then another one, and Deeb keeps beating the crap out of Red Velvet. Catapult into the bottom rope. Red Velvet sets up onto the top rope, or she gets set up on the top rope, but she fights back, knocks Deeb back to the canvas, hits a cross body, drop toe hold into the second rope, and she hits a running double knees to the back. I thought that was actually pretty awesome. Standing moonsault that needed a little bit more rotation. She came down face first on Serena's stomach. So luckily it wasn't face first into the mat. So at least she had a little bit of a cushion landing on her stomach. But still she needs a little bit more rotation. Red Velvet is limping because of all the damage to her knee. Red Velvet knees Deeb right in the face when doing a moonsault off the apron to the floor. Again, she needs to add more rotation into her moonsault, but basically she clocked Deeb right in the face with her knee. Back into the ring, Red Velvet drops Deeb. She backdrops Deeb out of a detox attempt, sits into a pin attempt for a very close 2 count. Uranagi from Red. She goes up top for a moonsault. Deeb gets her knees up. She made the rotation on this one. Deeb hits a high stack powerbomb for a 2 count. Deeb puts on the Serenity Lock. Basically ends up yanking so hard she ends up turning into a single leg crab. Red Velvet tries a roll up when Deeb goes for a figure 4. Deeb gets back to the Serenity Lock, slams Red Velvet's knee into the canvas a few times, and then wrenches back on the Serenity Lock, and Red Velvet taps out. Like we mentioned at the beginning, I thought this was a very fun match, a good back and forth, and other than the moonsaults that needed a little bit more rotation, I thought this was a pretty good showing from both ladies.
Serena Deeb is a really good wrestler, and we talked about how Red Velvet is just getting better and better. This was the match where Okay, they went to a commercial 2 minutes in, and then immediately in the picture-in-picture, Serena cut her off and started the heat. The heat was good, and she was like being nasty. And then as soon as they came back from commercial, Red Velvet started to come back.
Yeah, I didn't even notice.
Structure matches like that.
Yeah, I didn't even notice on this one because I was watching on the fight feed. So I didn't notice. I guess
this was the show. Started noticing. Yeah. That man. This match was fantastic. He teased, man. When it's a classic finish, and Ric Flair did it a million times. And my favorite is the famous Steamboat match in Chicago. They're going for the figure four and turn into the inside cradle. They did that as a near fall, and I always love to see that. She got nasty with the Serenity lock, like attacking her knee, and yeah, man, this was really good.
Yeah, Jay mentioned Serena Deeb wrestled heel. She was kind of heel in this one, even though I think she's a babyface.
Yeah, but see, I just kind of think of the way that AEW does heels and babyfaces, where those are character traits and not sort of identities.
Yeah,
but yeah, she was being nasty here.
Yeah, she didn't cheat or anything. She was just being vicious.
Yeah, that's the thing. I didn't say heelish. I was thinking like a kind of a rough baby face, but she was being nasty.
Next up, Pac is backstage. Alex Marvez. Pac says he's sick and tired of getting robbed of opportunity in this company. You saw what they tried to do last week, but I still got my match. There's nothing Kenny or Dawn or the Bucks or anybody else can do about it now. So I ask you, who's gonna bet against the bastard now? Solid from Pac, but once again, put some clothes on, dude.
I think he's just one of those guys. Like he lives in his tights. Like he's never. He's always in his trunks. But yeah, good to be reminded that Pac was in the match, since he seems to be the afterthought in the storyline. I bet that he's gonna make the match pretty freaking awesome.
Yeah, it should be a fun one. I'm looking forward to this match. Next up, we had Austin Gunn versus Anthony Ogogo. Cody and Arn come out with Austin. The Factory come out with Ogogo. Was somebody missing from the Factory? Or is it just the four of them? It's QT, Ogogo, Solo, and Camarado. Is there one more, or is it those four?
No, I think that's all of them.
Okay. For some reason, I thought there was one more, but okay. I thought, oh no, that's another mismatch group. I was thinking Nemeth and Drake, JD Drake. Wrong group.
And freaking Peter Avalon and Cesar Bononi.
Yeah, there you go.
What a group that is.
I was thinking that group. All right. Austin hits a shotgun drop kick. The second the bell rings, and he hits some strikes, but then Ogogo punches Austin right in the gut. Austin drops. But he does drag himself to his feet using the ropes. He gets hit with another one, and blood sprays out of his mouth all over Ogogo. I thought this was a nice little touch right here. Austin grabs the ref's arm to stop him from stopping the match. And Austin again makes it to his feet. Ogogo hits a pop-up forearm to the face. And he gets dropped, and the ref is like, nope, that's it. And he calls off the match at that point. It was fine. The biggest question is Ogogo going to have a good match with Cody at Double or Nothing? Because we have basically seen zero wrestling out of Ogogo.
Yes. Anthony, I did a whole spiel about this last week. They are putting us on TV yet. That, what he can do, because we know he's been training by the guy that we keep talking about as the best trainer in the wrestling business. Cody is the guy to get a match out of a big star professional athlete who is not experienced at pro wrestling, yeah, dude, that match is going to be awesome. And freaking the finish where Anthony Ogogo threw Austin Gunn in the air and caught him down, punching him to death, was phenomenal. And the only other thing is that, like, you saw someone who threw punches the way that Austin Gunn does that wasn't clearly Billy Gunn's son, you would go, man, that dude punches exactly like Billy Gunn.
He totally does. I thought the same thing.
He got that flurry of punches in, like, oh my god, those are Billy Gunn punches.
They were really good. They had looked exactly like his dad's, it was pretty funny. There was a little bit of post-match conflict, but, you know, the US versus UK isn't a thing, so it was what it was.
Apparently everybody has just ragged on Cody for that promo with it. I guess maybe he's mad about it now or something. I don't know. I haven't followed the whole story, but oh my god, that promo was so cringe. And then, like, Anthony Ogogo is just trying to be a heel, and I'm like, how is this man the heel?
There was somebody I was listening to was like, what is Cody talking about in this promo, talking about how Ogogo had, like, dissed America and whatnot. I'm like, this was on Dynamite. Anthony Ogogo said this on Dynamite in that promo with QT Marshall and company at the factory. That was in that segment. It's like, there were like 3 different podcasts. I heard the same thing. What is Cody talking about? Like, dude, Ogogo said this on Dynamite. You guys do not pay attention. But again, this is probably a good argument for, hey, AEW, at the beginning of the show, give us a 2-minute previously on so we can get up to speed for the stuff we're about to see. Because if professional podcasters who do this for a living don't remember this happening on Dynamite 3 weeks ago, you got a problem.
I am not going to get into that whole debate and differences in ideologies, mixed feelings about it. But I heard, I heard it on the YouTube channel, Cornette talking about, I guess QT like explained in an interview the way that they time out the show, the way they put the show together, and Cornette laid out how to time out a TV show, and the first thing he said was that you take your tape of last week's show and you get all of the VTRs that you need for this week's show to bring people up to speed for the angles that you're going to do on this show. And like a lot of things that he says, like, you know, say what you will, there's some shit like that you shit ought to listen to.
Like every other TV show on the planet, if I'm going to go watch Walking Dead, they're going to show me what's relevant, that's happened in the past, that's going to be relevant to the episode I'm about to watch.
I just watched The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and at the beginning of every episode, it got me up to speed, watching it all one right after the other, so I didn't need the reminder. But it would have been nice had I needed it to be reminded of. And sometimes you're like, man, why are they reminding me of this thing from like 6 episodes of that I haven't thought about since? Because that's what's going to come up in this episode.
Right. And if you're like regular TV, 6 episodes ago is a month and a half ago. You know, if it's airing week to week.
Exactly.
Or it could be even longer if it was over the winter break. It could be like 10 weeks ago if there was the break during Christmas time.
I just think this was something that came up during WandaVision, like the complaints about the pacing. Like, I don't think that we as a society remember how TV works because we're just not used to, you know, like the way we grew up to where, you know, you got your one show a week and that's all of that show until next week. I think people just aren't used to that anymore, and that's part of this too, maybe.
Yeah, and your 24 episodes play out over a 6-month period. Yeah. All right. So next up, we had Alex is with Frankie Kazarian and Christopher Daniels. He asked Daniels about a cryptic tweet that CD had put out, and it said that might be all. And Christopher Daniels says nothing. He just shakes Frankie's hand, whispers something into his ear, which we were not supposed to be able to hear, and he walks off. Frankie says that he doesn't have the time or words to explain what Christopher Daniels means to him. He says that CD has earned the right to take whatever path he wants now. As for me, I know exactly what path I'm on. Last week, I lost so much more than a wrestling match. I lost part of myself. Something important to me has been taken from me. And I'm not just blaming you, Matt and Nick. I'm blaming you two, Gallows and Anderson, Kenny, Nakazawa, Don Callis, Brandon Cutler. You're all responsible. I'm going to hunt down every member of the Elite. I'm going to teach you about loss. You're going to learn what it feels like to have your heart ripped out from your chest. I will have my recompense or I will die trying. What you're looking at now is a bomb you can't defuse, a gun you can't unload. And that's not a promise. That's not a threat. That is the gospel according to Frankie Kazarian. I love this promo. That was great.
That was great stuff, man. Glad they're gonna do something with Frankie. Hopefully he'll end up, with this. They're not like a unit or anything, but it's sort of like a loose alliance with like Moxley and Kingston. Since they're all battling, the Elite and those assholes. I'm like a big advocate, a big fan of Frankie Kazarian, so
yeah,
he'll get to do something.
I hope that he kind of turns into more of like a like a militia militant type of guy, like a mercenary, and like he changes up his gear. He gets the cargo pants on for his gear and just like turns into a complete, almost like, I don't care what happens to me. I'm going to take you down with me if I have to.
The thing is that I am all for, Frankie Kazarian, like, it's like new gear, but yeah, would love to see. I'm excited to see what we're going to do from here because I love Frankie Kazarian as a wrestler.
Did you see BTE this week?
No, I haven't.
The beginning of BTE, just watch the first few minutes. It was Christopher Daniels getting stitched up. And he, cut a promo and, he gets up to start walking away and he breaks down before he leaves the room and he kind of like is like hunched over in the corner crying like, I don't want to go. It was so sad. And then he gets up and leaves. Like, it was such a good promo.
Yeah. Okay. I'll have to look at that.
Next up, during the picture-in-picture, Sammy had his cards out. Basically says the Pinnacle is overconfident and careless, and that it's a mistake for them to accept the match, and the Inner Circle is far from dead. Next up, we had another awesome promo. The beginning of the promo was a little rough, but the last part of the promo was like fire. Miro comes out to the ring. He thanks Jesus for the win and the power to destroy people, which is kind of funny. It is like the first couple of sentences were very awkward. Is the best way I can put it. And you could hear the crowd like he's thanking Jesus. Are we supposed to boo? This is kind of funny. He says that he took what Darby said could not be taken. He says that if you have what I want, then it's going to be done. He says that Darby, you can relax now. You can go home and make your student videos. and I'm the champ now. Next week, someone will get a shot at my title, and I will destroy them over and over. Lance Archer's music hits. He comes out with Jake Roberts, tells them to shut the hell up. You're out here talking about wanting to hurt somebody. I've been the beast in AEW long before you got here, back when you were trying to have a day to yourself, which I thought was a nice little quip right there. He says that a year ago, he and Cody fought for the first ever championship for the TNT title, and he didn't walk out as champion at that time, but he plans to this time. He says he's glad Miro won because the two of them are going to give the people a monster fight. He can't wait to beat the hell out of each other, and I'm going to put your ass on the ground and hold that belt over my head because I'm going to make you my Bulgarian bitch. Lots of bitch on this episode. Miro says, "Oh, that hurts. Like I've never heard that before." And then he says, "You come out here with this old man holding you back. When I won this title, nothing was holding me back." And Jake starts holding back Lance Archer, and Miro says, "Yeah, you hold him back, old man. Next time you bring him around, you better pray to God that he doesn't get close to me, because I promise you there is not enough yoga in the world to save you. That's going to save you if you come close to me. As for you, Murder Hawk, you say everybody dies. Yeah, that's true, but I insist that you're going to be first." Miro was so good in this.
Started out a little awkward, but by the end, like, holy Miro is great. Archer was great. I just Jake Roberts has just gone from being like the guy who was kind of directing Archer to he's completely lost control and he's just trying to hold him back. These two are, there is a beautiful thing that exists in professional wrestling, and this is going to be a sterling example of a mean guy match. This is going to be a mean guy match, and it is going to be awesome.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. Another thing, somebody else pointed out, but I also noticed it as well. How they shot Miro. They had the camera low, pointing up at him, so you didn't notice a height difference. Even though, Lance Archer probably is like 6 inches taller than Miro, but still.
Yeah, I did notice that they shot it in a way to it's like, holy shit, Miro's huge.
So they run down the card for next week. Not the most inspired card, but it is going to be at 10 o'clock Eastern on Friday. But it's going to be Miro and the death of Dante Martin. Dante Martin's going to get destroyed. Yeah,
Martin, hope he's going to spend the week getting his affairs in order. Sorry for his family. Sorry for their loss.
Joey Janela versus Hangman Page. Their first meeting after their original meeting in the Cracker Barrel Classic, right? That was the two of them together in that. Was that the match they were in together?
No. Cracker Barrel Classic.
Sorry, that was Darby
and Darby and Jimmy Havoc.
Right.
The Hangman and Joey Janela match at Allin was the one with the Dick Druids. So let's hope that we don't have a repeat of that this time.
What? The Dick Druids? What are you?
Dick Druids at Allin.
Oh yeah. All right, I remember. I remember now. I got it. I remember that now.
I went to Allin with my wife, who doesn't care about wrestling, or, isn't a fan, and I had to explain the Dick Druids to her, and I was so fucking embarrassed. And that's because if you go back and watch Allin now, it's all great, and you can see that it's the pilot to AEW, and then in the middle of it, fucking Dick Druids.
I got a kick out of the Dick Druids. Khan. I thought it was funny.
Awful. It's fucking embarrassing.
All right, anyways, Joey Janela versus Hangman Page. Anthony Ogogo and Cody Rhodes weigh in. Jade will be in action. The Inner Circle will have a Best of the Inner Circle highlight celebration. Evil Uno and Stu Grayson will take on Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page. That should be a fun one. I'm actually kind of looking forward to that match. That should be good. Darby versus Cesar Bononi, a Shida as champion for 1 year celebration, because I believe the 1 year is next Sunday. Actually, I think it might be tomorrow is the 1 year, but I'm not sure. And then they add at Double or Nothing, it's going to be Sting and Darby Allin versus Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page. And then also Dynamite is on Friday, 10 p.m. Eastern next week. Next up, we had the Varsity Blonds versus the Young Bucks for the AEW Tag Team Championship. We have, like we talked about earlier, Julia Hart comes out with Varsity Blonds. Nick is no match for Griff Garrison at the beginning. Matt ends up not being any better. The Blondes hit double drop kicks on both of the Bucks, and then mock the Bucks by doing the Young Bucks pose. The Blondes beat up Matt for a while. Lots of tags in and out from the two of them. Really good work. Matt gets his knees up when Pillman was going for the slingshot senton back into the ring after getting tagged in. Matt gives Nick a rope walk assist all the way from their corner towards the stage, and then he does a double stomp to the back of Pillman, who had been thrown out onto the stage. Then they take out Griff. Bucks do their pose. We get some Macho Man mannerisms from Nick. Did you notice that one? Or was that in commercial when he did that?
Okay, at it. Which I was watching on Fight too, but no, I didn't. I don't remember.
He did the finger in the air, circling thing that Macho Man did. So he's just being a total dick, showing off his Dior shoes. Matt tagged in, continues beating on Pillman. Matt steps aside of a Pillman crossbody, like he just casually steps out of the way. Nick gets cocky though, and Pillman hits a crossbody, gets the hot tag to Griff, and Griff throws the Bucks around, some splashes in the corner, double stack splash in the corner, and then he spears both Bucks at the same time. Massive crossbody to the floor on both of the Bucks. We get a flying clothesline from Brian Pillman. Griff Garrison covers Matt Jackson for a 2 count. The Bucks block the Blondes finisher. Matt hits a superplex on Pillman. Nick hits a running kick on the apron to Griff to take him out on the outside. Double team kicks from the Bucks to the back of Pillman's back. Pillman throws Nick's super kick into Matt's face, and then Pillman hits a super kick of his own to Nick for a 2 count. We get a blind tag from the Bucks. Matt puts on the sharpshooter. Brandon Cutler distracts the ref. Nick sprays cold spray in the face of Brian Pillman. Griff breaks it up. More shenanigans with the cold spray. Matt puts on the sharpshooter again. Nick gives Pillman the face buster while he's in the sharpshooter, and then takes out Griff on the outside, and Pillman has to tap. This was a really fun match, and the Varsity Blondes got in a lot. Young Bucks were being total dicks and basically doing every heel trope in the book in one match.
Yeah, dude, they were the perfect douchebag heels, as they are. And then, here again, the heat on Pillman, and then as soon as they came back from commercial, Pillman got away and got the hot tag. And then Griff Garrison made a hell of a hot tag, and then it was just like a hope spot, because like they immediately, like within a minute, Pillman was legal again, and they were getting the heat on him again. And then the cold spray, they did all this stuff really well. And Pillman got a near fall with a small package that was such a good false finish. And then And just the little things. They are so amazing at being dickheads. What did they beat Brian Pillman with? The sharpshooter. And his father, Dungeon, and was a part of the Hart Foundation. They beat him with the sharpshooter. Those dicks. Yeah, this match was very good.
And then while the Bucks were celebrating, the Jon Moxley and Kingston get in the ring behind them, and the Bucks get down off the turnbuckles and turn around. They have a stare down with Moxley and Eddie for a minute, and then Moxley and Kingston beat the crap out of the Bucks. They both get choked out with rear naked chokes. The crowd is chanting "You deserve it" when they're getting beat up, which I thought was a nice little touch. And then Eddie, Kingston, and Moxley steal the Bucks shoes, and Kingston now has 2 new pairs of Nike Dior's.
We had to mention during the match, Mox doesn't need. They after last week he came out to the original version, the Troggs version of Wild Thing, but they have apparently got the rights to the cover of Wild Thing. I think it's from like the movie Major League.
Yes.
Like, and we talked about it last week. You know, I like the old music. I like the old music too, but okay, having a real song as interest music makes you look like a bigger superstar. So, yeah, and the more I get used to the idea, the more that I think it's awesome, and it makes Moxley, into an even bigger star.
Yeah, I'm trying to find out who did that recording. I don't know who did that recording.
The
cover. I don't know who did the cover. And the version that they used last night.
I don't know if it's I think there might be multiple bands called X.
Yeah, but yeah, I like that they used that version.
Band called X.
Yeah, I like that version better than the original.
Yeah, better because like the one that they played last week, like. Hey, that's the one-off that he came out when he was wrestling Yuji Nagata. Like, that's awesome. Yeah.
Jay mentioned, did y'all miss mentioning Nick's headband? Yes, Nick's headband gets more and more annoying every week. It gets more and more... their wardrobe gets more and more ridiculous or pretentious every week.
Yeah! Oh, they were such douchebags. They just... phenomenal. They're more hateable every week.
Before they actually go off the air, they run down the card for Double or Nothing because, like we said, this is basically the go home. So we have the Young Bucks versus Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston. That has been made official for the AEW Tag Team Championships. We have Stadium Stampede, Inner Circle versus the Pinnacle. If the Inner Circle lose, they have to break up forever. We have Britt Baker versus Hikaru Shida for the Women's Championship. We have Miro versus Lance Archer for the TNT Championship. We have Sting and Darby Allin versus Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page in the ring, live in front of the fans. This is not a cinematic match. We have Cody Rhodes versus Anthony Ogogo. We have Brian Page versus Hangman Page. We have Pac versus Orange Cassidy versus Kenny Omega for the AEW World Championship. And then we have the Casino Battle Royale with the winner getting a AEW World Championship shot in the future.
Indeed we do. Yeah, gonna be an awesome show. And yeah, like I said, by the end of the show, they did an awesome job of putting heat on all the stuff at the pay-per-view. And so yeah, it's a little bit awkward to have the go-home show, 9-10 days out, but circumstances are what they are, and next week I'm sure it'll be a fun show. But yeah, I think it just felt like most of what they did here, especially like the promos and angles and stuff, it all hit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and some of the most solid promos from all of these guys that we've seen. I don't think... I mean, everybody did a good promo, if not one of their best promos.
Dude, Jericho is cutting the best promos of his career in this run, man.
That's because he can write them himself and can say whatever he wants.
Yeah. Grizzled old babyface Jericho. Like, I'm surprised, but it works.
Let's see. Let's quickly talk. I believe ratings came out. They were down, but we also had NBA playoffs, went head to head with it. They were down to 812,000 viewers, which is their lowest since April 7th, which was the last night of NXT going head to head. And, but, you know, it was what it was, and ESPN averaged 2.3 million and 5.6 million for the playoff games, for the NBA playoff games. So that's going to eat into those numbers a little bit. So we'll see what happens when the NBA playoffs are over. I don't know how much overlap is with various. We know football and wrestling tends to have a lot of overlap. I just don't know how much like NBA or hockey or baseball have for overlap. I don't know. Anyways, as far as that goes, got anything else you want to discuss AEW wise?
And I guess this has kind of been set up for a little while now, but I think the official announcement was yesterday. Omega and Andrade at Triple Mania. Mm-hmm. That sounds awesome.
I believe that's on August 14th, right?
Yes, I believe so. So, yeah. So that sounds like a awesome time to me.
As far as those of us in the U.S., as of right now, there is no legal way for us to watch it because there's some massive lawsuit problem with stuff in the U.S. It may be fixed by the time August rolls around. I mean, we got 3 months to go for that. But as of right now, there is no legal way for those of us in the U.S. to see it. So we'll see how that goes.
But just at me about it on Twitter, and we'll figure something out.
Yeah, I'm sure. Like I said, it's 3 months out. They might get all that fixed and all that jazz beforehand. As far as next week, Dynamite being on Friday night, you're going to be traveling, so I don't know who's going to be with me, but I will be on Saturday night. We might go a little later than normal. I don't know what my wife is going to drag me out to do, so. I might get dragged out to do something on Saturday, so we'll see. But it'll probably be later on Saturday, and then the pay-per-view is on Sunday. Luckily, Monday is a day off, so then we'll get in with that. Again, I don't know who will be with me, but we'll try to get that out. Make sure you follow the Twitter for that, and we'll keep you informed on all that good stuff. So anything else before we wrap up?
And I think that'll get it.
All right, cool. So thanks for listening and watching to That's Wrestling. Like I said at the beginning, Daryl is doing a fundraiser for concussion research, so be sure to check that out. The link is in the show notes for that. If you are listening to this as a podcast, you can join us live on Twitch or YouTube. Follow the links in the show notes. There's also a link to our Discord in there as well. Comments, questions, feedback, you can send those to eric@thatswrestling.com. You can follow us on Twitter @thatswrestling1 and leave us a review on your podcast app of choice. You can find Trae over at WrestleIsm on the Twitter as well. So for Trae Wisecarver, my name is Eric LaRoche. You have been watching and listening to That's Wrestling. See you later, guys.